Let's go, baby. Little scalper. What's up, man? Happy Monday. Let's go. We're gonna get to this review. I'm not gonna make this one that long. You already know what I'm looking to do, guys. This is the second week in my prop firm, and I was very excited to get Monday off. Started off strong. Um, Again, long story short, I was not coming in here like forcing to make money or anything like that. I had a simple plan. I executed on that plan. The morning started off pretty decent. Going into open, it got a little choppy, but man, I have a surprise at the end to just show you what being disciplined and managing your risk can lead to. Unfortunately, when I recorded my trades this morning, none of it freaking recorded. So it's whatever. I'm gonna kind of bounce around the trades that I took this morning. Starting off with BTAI. This was my first trade of the morning. A little late, actually, closer to 7:30 a.m. It was definitely not the craziest start this morning, but there was a lot of opportunity. And yeah, that's good. So let's see. Okay, so yep, here we go. This thing was making a move. Nothing too crazy. Had some 4 a.m. levels to break here, kind of like an incentive. And this super big red line up here was a big candle on, or I'm sorry, a big level on the daily that I kind of wanted to see possibly test. But right out of the gates, we got this little pop right here. First pullback. Didn't get to trade this. I kind of wanted to, I was being a little patient. I wanted to see. I didn't want to jump too far, and I just sat down and seen this, so I didn't want to just hop right into something. But as you can see, we were starting to make this move on the 5-minute here. Where I took my first trade was, actually, let me see. I need to double check here. 725. I believe I took, okay, so my first trade, I missed this one, which honestly is, probably the most ideal usually, is that first bigger pullback. Gave a pretty decent move here, about 25 cents or so. But really, I grabbed this pullback right here. So it's kind of basing out. Once the first 1-minute candle made a new high type thing, I grabbed an entry, got a little pop, ended up stopping out here for a small loss. Nothing crazy. I did give it one more try. Let me see, when was that? 7:32. So I believe I tried it again right in this area here. And again, I just didn't hold up. I took an even smaller loss there. So I did start off red. I took 2 tries on this one. I could tell this one just wasn't strong. And something better had popped up that had breaking news. Now, the news on this one wasn't that great, but nonetheless, it did have a catalyst. And this one was, this was a good trade, man. It put in, and I actually ended up trading this later, which will be the kind of surprise at the end. So this did have breaking news right at 7:30. You can see nice volume came in. Pretty nice price action there. It made this nice, beautiful first 5-minute flag like this. So this was more of like a 3-bar play, but I thought it was still perfectly valid. As you can see, we kind of had like this really tight 1-minute flag, broke out here, and then here's that very first proper pullback. And as soon as that thing put in a nice wick, that first 1-minute candle to make a new high, boom. You know that I took an entry there, risking the low of this pullback. 375 was my risk on this, so I was risking about 20 cents a share. It started to curl here. As you can see, we had this downtrend that it was forming. It tried to break out of it. It pulled right back, and then it snapped. And I took profits over 430s right here. Tried to make a 1-minute flag to break out for higher, but ultimately it kind of stalled out there. But this was a great trade. Very simple, picture perfect. Got that nice move off of breaking news. That first proper pullback, 1-minute candle to make a new high is the entry. Boom, risking the low of the pullback. Looking for the top of the flagpole as new highs. I'm not going to get too in-depth there. This was a good trade. Stuck to the plan. And yeah, made back both of my losses on BTAI plus a little bit. So I was small green on the day after that. That was all I traded forward pre-market. But I did miss a trade, and I was pretty upset because it was very nice. VTAK, this one also came out with breaking news. And man, my freaking daughter needed some more cereal. I'm like, you know what? Let me go get this cereal real quick. Um, and as soon as I came back, not even 30 seconds later, I missed my entry. And I did not feel like chasing it this morning. But as you can see, this was after 8 a.m. Came out with 8 a.m. news. A better headline for sure. Look at this. This was nice price action. Got a nice that first pop, first 1 minute pullback. Bam, breaks out. And this was the trade I missed. Now it was a little bit extended. This was like a VWAP hold, but I thought this was still a valid entry just because of like how nice the price action was. You got a very clear base right here to risk off of. That first 1 minute candle to make a new high would have been a great entry, and it ended up breaking out for new highs at 480. So just guesstimating here, probably would have been risking about 20 cents a share to make 40. And that's a good base hit trade. This was a great trade opportunity. Even had a nice second 5 minute flag here that ends up breaking out for new highs as well. So some good opportunities. Unfortunately, I missed this one. And once I missed this trade, I just kind of I called it for pre-market, and I said that I'll look for something at the open, and that's exactly what I did. You know what? I actually do have the recordings from open, so let's go ahead and jump onto those. Give me 1 minute when I find them. Okay. All right. Is this gonna work? Let me see if I can open this up, guys. 1 second. All right. Oh yeah. So this will be. Let me see. How many trades did I take it open? Took a couple trades at open. 2 wins, 2 losses. SNGX is gonna be the highlight, but I want to save some time and go over that because, man, that was the one that ended up. We'll see what happens with that one. Give me a sec while I get this video from my laptop, and can kind of go over an interesting play that was at the open. On PPCB, which I think was some sort of IPO. It had a very big move in pre-market, and it kind of pulled back. But then at the open, we were getting some more. Okay, so back up. The main runner going into pre-market was actually a penny stock ASBP. Let me just pull that up a little bit here. I did not end up trading this one. But I believe this one had breaking news as well. But this one was cranking tons of volume earlier in the morning. Let's see here. Definitely worth taking a quick look at because I didn't end up trading, but this thing did put in a beautiful 5 minute flag, and a really great breakout from that. Oh yeah, so this was another missed trade. I was getting ready for work, but as you can see, we put in that first initial move right here. Nice big fat stick on the 5 minute. That ramping volume, hitting the scanners, all that good stuff. Puts in that first 1 minute flag right here, and these are valid, man. I am thinking of starting to incorporate that very first pullback because you can see, it's the first one. That's a great trade opportunity. It makes the nice move. First pullback, that first 1 minute candle to make a new high can be your entry, risking the low of the pullback. And as you can see, that would have worked out. But I'm really mainly interested for this deeper 5 minute flag pullback right here. And that ended up working very well. Of course, like I said, this was a mistrade for me, but you can see just again how my edge shows up very often. Very repeatable. As you can see, this one put in a nice base in this area right here. Again, first 1 minute candle to make a new high type shit is your entry, risking the low of this pullback, and that would have been a very great trade as well. Yeah, as you can see, this thing did make a pretty nice move into open, but I didn't trade this one. I actually traded PPCB. Let's flip back to the recording. So I was watching this one. Watching SNGX, that's what we traded earlier. It was kind of seeing which one. I was being patient and seeing which one looked like it was going to be the one that kind of gets the momentum. Now, again, this was the stock that had made a very massive move pre-market, kind of pulled back, dumped into the open, but then at the open it started to rally. And this thing just had a lot of volume, so that's why I was interested in it. And you can see we kind of put in that very first opening move right here. Nice 1 minute flag, breaks out of that. But as you see, it's a little choppy, and it was a choppy play. But I was still able to be, let's see, small green on it. I didn't get the whole move I wanted. But I was looking for this first pullback right here. I was looking to risk the low of this pullback here. Um, and I think in this area, I was actually trying to get an entry, and I didn't get filled, but I guess that's for the best because this ended up breaking down. But I waited to right here because this is still kind of pulling back on the 5 minute. We haven't made that first 5 minute candle to make a new high, so we're still kind of pulling back. It's kind of holding the 50% level of this original move. Um, so I thought it was still worth a shot. Have some clear areas that we can use as profit targets, kind of anything in this area here, and of course new high of day. And once we had that pop right there, I got in. Didn't get the best fill, but I had a clear risk. That 759's level right here, that it was bouncing off the 5 minute 8, and that's what I used as a risk off. And this thing definitely took some time. I'm not gonna, but you can see we were getting that push off that first 5 minute 8 tap. And I was really looking for this 866 level at least for my first target. As you can see, it was kind of almost stopped me out here. Held on. Trying not to have my emotions get all fired up. You know, there was not much reason to. Although I was taking its sweet time. As you can see, we were kind of flirting with that level. But I was being patient. I wanted that profit target. A little bit of rejection right here. But ultimately, we made a nice push through that level. I was looking to take half off in this area, up about 60 cents a share. I went ahead and took off half. I was really looking for that 940 break, new high of days right here. Unfortunately, we just didn't get it. And what's funny here is I ended up moving my stop. So originally I had my stop at the low of this pullback right here. And I went ahead and moved it up to break even, but let me see when it stops me out. I did end up getting stopped out, but in this area when it was pulling back and I moved my stop to break even, I was like, As you can see, it's right there at about maybe like 813 or something like. Or sorry, I had it at 805, which was like right under VWAP, and I was thinking maybe a better stop would be like right under the 5 minute 8 and VWAP, and maybe the $8 psychological level. But I ended up not moving it because I just didn't want to get into the habit of moving my stop. I was like, you know what? If I get stopped out, break even. I get stopped out, break even. And what's funny is that if I would have moved my stop to 7.99, which is what I was thinking about, I would have ended up staying in this trade and getting a little bit more out of it. But ultimately, I stopped out, break even on the rest. This thing did end up trying to push for that 930s level. I think it broke $9, but after that, it kind of faded off. Anyways. I know that was pretty quick, but I want to put most of my focus on SNGX to close out this review. And I have a great video on it. It wasn't that long, but let me see if I snagged in. So again, SNGX was what we traded pre-market. We knew it had a catalyst. It was pulling back into the open, and I was kind of watching it. I was expecting either that one or maybe VTAK to be, because usually there's only one, man. Usually there's only one clear runner at a time. And I was being patient to kind of see what it was. And as you can see, this was where we were pulling back into open, and it ripped through pre-market highs a little bit after what was it? The penny stock was kind of cooling down, and then when that other play I was just talking about was cooling down, I did already miss. So this is kind of what it looked like when it pulled it up. I seen it made a beautiful 5 minute, cleared out all this pre-market levels to the left, put in that first 1 minute flag. So I went ahead and marked my potential risk off to be the low of that 5 minute pullback right here. And I was like, you know what? If I was watching this, I probably would have took an entry anyway. So as it was pulling back here, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. Still a valid trade, just executing it a little bit differently, but still a valid risk off here. Ultimately, I get stopped out right there. And guys, I didn't hesitate, man. Like when I'm getting stopped out, I put my stop there and I just let it rock. If I'm gonna get stopped out, I'm gonna get stopped out. I don't want to get emotional or anything like that. I put my stop for 1 penny below the low of this pullback, and that's what happened. I got stopped out here. I was willing to give it another try, which I think I did. Let's see. Yeah, so it broke that, but it was still holding the VWAP here, and it kind of looked like it wanted to curl. So I was like, you know what? Maybe worth another shot. My big picture on this one was clearing out this previous resistance, which as you can obviously see, once it pulled back, it came up here and it failed off that level. This is the first target, and ultimately coming to clear out that new high a day at 490 right here. So that was what I was thinking was the potential on this trade, and with everything else kind of cooling off or starting to pull back, and this just made a big move, you know, my incentive, if you will, would be that this was the one that could end up continuing higher because it had news. As you can see, it clearly just had a lot of volume came in, and this is kind of like that first pullback on the 5-minute, even though, you know, it wasn't like a 5-minute flag and then rip, kind of set up a little differently. But as you can see, once we started making that new 1-minute candle to make a new high in this area off of the VWAP, I went ahead and took another stab at it. Ultimately, again, I got stopped out of this one. As you can see, this one was starting to curl. You know, it wasn't pretty. The volume was kind of low right here, so I was like, oh, I definitely want to see that volume start to pick back up a little bit. But again, I had my stop loss set. This was the 410 level, so I put it at 409. I was like, you know, no drama. And look, it was starting to make a good push here. So, you know, this was the right idea. This one didn't hold up right here in this area, but hey, maybe it just wanted to come tap VWAP, and I wanted to look for it to come up, test this level, and break out for new highs. That was the ultimate goal there. As you can see, I end up getting stopped out again right there. So that will bring me to my conclusion of what happened next. I didn't record the whole thing, but ultimately, this was that last stop out that I was just talking about. We started to curl yet again. And then what I noticed is that it had a very clear downtrend. You can see it tapped right here, it tapped right here, and it tapped right here. I went ahead and drew a potential risk off right here. But then when I saw this thing break out of that downtrend, it broke out right here. It gave a first pullback, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at this because I've seen this all the time. There's a very clear downtrend here. We just broke out of it. It's setting up that first little 1-minute flag pullback, and I want to see this try to start pushing some levels here. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'll risk the low of that pullback, and you know, if I take a loss on this trade, that'll be it for the day. I'll end up, you know, a pretty manageable red, and that would be okay. But, you know, again, I don't feel like I was revengeful. I was just kind of having some conviction myself that everything else was kind of pulling back, and this was the one that looked like it wanted to curl, and we had some incentive to push and break these levels to the left right here, especially after we already cleared all these pre-market levels out. You know, that's just what was going on in my head. So it wasn't really a revenge trade, even though I typically don't like taking a third stab at something. You know, once I drew this downtrend right here and I saw it break out, you know, it was worth a shot to me. Let's just see what happens, man. Again, I had a stop loss here at 401, you know. I was risking about, you know, 30 cents a share, so a little bit of risk here. But man, talk about being caught in a freaking boner candle right here. Again, I'm looking for this level to break for a first target right here. I'm watching the level 2 right here. You can see we got a wall at 441 and 443. So you know they're kind of stacking some walls up here in this area. So we definitely wanted to see like that pop through and break. I was watching the tape here. Watching the tape. Kind of getting ready to see some order. Here we go. We're starting to make that push right there. Boom, they snap it through. Boom, new highs. Boom. Talk about getting in a fucking boner candle, man. Let's fucking go. Look at that shit. And I got filled all the way up here at 525. Listen, man. That's just going to happen. That's luck right there. You know, I was in the right place, right time, and boom, a freaking $1 a share candle comes out. Guys, if you can just stay disciplined, you manage your losses, because again, if I would have lost this trade, I would have been red on the day. But once I seen this thing starting to make another 5-minute candle to make a new high, plus you had that downtrend break, it just made sense to me. I thought it was worth a shot. And guys, this thing cleared out all these levels in one freaking candle. Let's just see that again. Beautiful breakout, man. That's a freaking breakout right there. As you can see, they just swiped right through this level. They didn't even give people a chance. That was a big level to break right here to the left. Swiped it again right through highs, man. Right through freaking new high a day at 483 and just ripped. Big bidder came up, instantly got sold into. Guys, that's it for the day. Um, really solid start to this week. As you can see, I have some wins, I have some losses. I'm just trying to stay disciplined again. Just suck less, man. You don't always got to try to be a better winner, to do everything perfect. Just whatever your worst game is, your C game, your D game, your F game, just make that better. And your curve will kind of work itself out. But right now I'm trying to focus on just sucking less, making less beginner mistakes, and yeah, I'm being super disciplined with my losses too, man. Like there hasn't been a single slip up in my trade cuts and things like that. And that's my main focus, is keep doing that. Like if I say I'm gonna stop out, I freaking stop out, man, and I just move on to the next trade. And it's really been doing wonders. So that's all I got, guys. I'm excited to go into tomorrow, have some more discipline, trade the same plan, and I'll be back tomorrow night with another review. Peace.